Hey guys, it's Emma. So for this video, it's going to be called the ear piercing part 1. So I had another ear piercing video that I had up there where I kind of just showed you my earrings and I gave a quick description of like all of them. But this one I'm going to go more in depth about some of them, and then I'll have a part 2 that will come up in probably a couple weeks, and that will be showing the rest of the types of piercings more in depth, and I'll kind of do like an updated version of part 1. So today I'm going to be talking about 4 different types of ear piercings: the earlobe, the helix, the forward helix, and the tragus. All of which I have mostly done in one ear, so we're just going to be focusing on my left side. Okay, so here's my ear, and as you can see, I have 3 in my lobe. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in my helix. This is an earring cuff, 2 forward helix, and a tragus right here. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of sit like this so that you guys can kind of look at my ear while I point out the different piercings and if my hair doesn't fall in the way. Cool. Okay, so the first piercing I'm going to talk about is the earlobe. The earlobe is kind of cool because it's one of the least painful piercings you can get. It's one of the most simple piercings and the most common piercing, actually, among men and women. So right here I have 3 in my earlobe, and you have 2 different options of places you can get it done. You can get it done at either a Claire's or a tattoo shop. A tattoo shop, they actually use a piercing needle, and where if you go to a place like Claire's, they use a piercing gun. So in another video, I will show you the difference between a piercing gun and a needle, and why one might be better than the other. But as far as the earlobe goes, it's not necessarily a big deal what you get done. So for the earlobe, they usually use, if you go to Claire's and you get a piercing gun, they use a 20 gauge size. So the higher the numbers, so 18, then 20, and then 22, the smaller the hole. So if you're going backwards, 20, 18, 16, the hole is actually getting bigger. And the biggest size you can have is a size 00. So, and that's when you actually have like gauges in your ears. So an earlobe, if you get it done at Claire's, is 20 gauge, and if you get it done in a piercing shop, it's usually about an 18 in your earlobe. The minimum time to let it heal before you can change your jewelry is 3 weeks if you're cleaning it regularly. Otherwise, it's like about 4 to 5 if you're not as good with cleaning. And the healing time before it really can stay out for a while before it will close up is about 6 months. So you can actually leave your jewelry out for, at a day at a time after 6 months, and it won't close up. Everybody's ears is a little bit different, so these are rough estimates, but that's about what most people experience. So after that 6 months, they can leave it out for a day. So on your earlobe, it really all depends on what type of ear you have and how many you can fit. I can fit 3. Some people can fit 5 or 6, and technically I could squeeze more in my ear if I wanted to, but I really just like how it looks. Like 3 is a nice odd number. Most people stick with odd numbers for their ears. So that is the earlobe. Cleaning is the same as all other piercings. Use a cotton ball, Q-tip, and saline solution and just clean it at about 2 times a day. Next piercing I want to show you guys is the helix piercing, which is your cartilage on the outside. So there's this one, these 3, and then this one. So I have 5 of them at the moment. So these cartilage piercings are called helix piercings, and I'm going to spin around and talk to you guys from this direction. So the helix piercing is the next most popular piercing for women to get, as well as men. A lot of people have it because it's just fun, and everybody has different amounts that they get in their ears. So on this side, I have 5 helix piercings, and on this side, I have 1. So it really all just depends on what you have. My sister has 1 helix piercing, and some people I know have like 7, 8, 9, 10 helix piercings, so it really all depends. Okay, so with a helix piercing, it is minimum of 4 weeks before you can change the jewelry. When you get it pierced, they put the basic lobe piercing in your ear. So lobe I talked about earlier in my Monroe piercing video, but I will show you like a cool chart that shows all different kinds of stuff, and I'll explain in a second. So they put a lobe in, a minimum of 4 weeks before you can change the jewelry, and it takes anywhere from 6 weeks to 4 months before it really heals fully. I would say with every piercing, you want to wait a full year before you leave it out for extended periods of times without it closing up. Ears don't close up as fast, but if you're not careful and you leave it out for 3 days, it might close up. So I would say wait till that year's over, and then you're safe to leave it out for, 12 hours at a time or so. So I have 5 of those helix piercings. The next one I want to talk about is the forward helix. Forward helix are these 2 right here. And you can get a single, double, or triple. Right now I have a double, and I'm definitely going to get a triple at some point. So it all just depends on when I get to the shop next. So forward helix is the same thing as a helix, and helix just means your outer rim. So the outer rim of the ear is where it is pierced. And forward part of it means it's just the front. Forward and front, same thing. So the front part of your ear, which is right there. So I have 2 right there. And right now I have blue opal jewelry in for this one, and then this is just a white opal jewelry on that one. I love the opal jewelry because they actually they sparkle, and I think they're really cool. I'm thinking of getting a pink opal right there, which would be really awesome. So for your forward helix, that is a minimum of 4 weeks before you can change it. I would honestly wait like 6 weeks before changing it, if not more. And this one, unfortunately, has a long healing time. It's 4 to 8 months before it's really healed. You can change it after, 4 or 5 weeks, but I would recommend waiting until at least 8 weeks or so. This is one of the slower healing piercings, and it is definitely in a more tender spot part of your ear, so it's a little bit more risky. I honestly have never had an infection with my forward helix, so I've been awesome with those, and I didn't really clean them. It was the aftermath healing part that was awful. So a lot of people have told me their forward helix heals really well, and the pain was like a 2 out of 10. My pain on these is like a 6 out of 10, and I have an extremely high pain tolerance, so it could just be that I'm different and weird and have a really sensitive, front part of my ear. It could be a lot of things, but it definitely, I'd say it's like my top 3 most painful piercings for me, but everybody's different. So like I said, for the forward helix, they usually do a 1.2 millimeter barbell to originally pierce it with, and it is pierced with a 16 gauge piercing. Now, here's the thing. You can get your helix done, so these, and your earlobe at Claire's. Claire's will not pierce the forward helix, nor will they pierce this one. So only these, they're outside parts of your ear. So your forward helix piercing is going to be a 16 gauge because you are going to have to go to a tattoo shop to get it done. So yeah, that is the forward helix and the helix. The next one is the tragus, which is like one of my favorite piercings ever. I mentioned before, the tragus right here cannot be done at Claire's. So it's this cool guy right there. I really like this tragus. So it cannot be done at Claire's. So you have to go to a tattoo shop. Tattoo shops usually will do a 16 gauge needle. And this one takes 3 to 6 months, so it's definitely less than that 4 to 8 months for the forward helix. So before it can really heal properly and fully. And I would wait a minimum of like 3 to 4 weeks before you change your jewelry for the tragus. The tragus actually isn't interesting. Everybody's like, wow, it's really thick cartilage. I think it hurts. It actually, for me, was more of like a pop. And a lot of people describe this just like a little pop, and it doesn't actually hurt. When I got mine done, the pain was a 1 or a 2 out of 10 for that. It was so easy. Like, if I had more like tragus space, like I would like pierce the side and like more. But yeah, the pain for my forward helix was like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. It was pretty bad. My helix was like a 4 or 5 pain, maybe like even a 3, and my earlobes was like a 2 or 3. So seriously, it was like not bad at all for those. So these are my ears again. All right, so this lobe, helix, forward helix, and tragus. So I want to show you guys the chart really quick of all different types of earrings. Okay, so this is a chart that I printed off online. This isn't as important as much, so you can kind of just ignore this. This is kind of important right here. So these are the different kind of jewelry that you can get. So this is labre. Labre can be used for Monroe. It's mostly like lip piercings. They do also use a labre for your forward helix and your tragus. A labre just means basically that it's got this flat back right here, and then it's got the post in the middle, and then the ball part of it is what screws off. So you just twist it off. So again, that's the forward helix and tragus. And your Monroe piercing, lip piercings use lobe. This one right here is a curved barbell, and this is mainly used for like belly button piercings. So that's that. This is a straight barbell. I have an industrial bar on this side, which I will be talking about in ear piercings part 2. So I do also have a straight barbell for my tongue. After the straight barbell, then we come over to this side and we have the captive bead rings. So I have a couple of these on my ears. I have this one, where you can see the bead is right here and it's connected. I have another one up here, and then I do also have one of them on this side, and I have one on the inside of my ear, like that. Okay, and then the other one is this one, the circular barbell. I don't have any of those. So those are the different kinds you can get, and then here's the different gauge size. So we'll ignore this for right now. So a 20 gauge is what Claire's pierces with her piercing guns. 18 is like not really used that much. It's 16 gauge that is pretty much the size for everything. So I'll even make that closer. Bam. So 16 gauge is what they pierce your forward helix with, your tragus. 18 would be like your earlobe and your helix piercings at like a tattoo shop. But 16 is pretty much the size of everything else. 14 is the size that they do your belly button. And then these would be for like if you want big gauges in your ears. So, and then this down here, this section, is the ball or stone diameter. So, most people, like, I used to have a 5mm stone in my first hole in my earlobe, and then I would do a 4mm stone and then a 3mm, so it was bigger to smaller. Unfortunately, right now I have these really colorful ones in there, so it doesn't go 543. It's more like 553. But it looks really cool if you have like cubic zirconia to do 543 kind of style. And then before I end this video, the last thing I want to talk about is changing the earrings. So for your regular earlobe, I literally just put my fingers on the back, put them on here, and just pull. So the earring back looks kind of like this, and that's where the post goes in that hole right there. And then this is what the post looks like, and the end. To put it back in, you just kind of find your hole. So you just put the post right through, find your earring back, pinch it with your fingers, and if you can get your thing, that's how you change that. These you need pliers to pull apart, so it's just like, you take pliers and pull it apart. That's all you have to do. For these, in my forward helix, I actually just have regular earrings in there, so it's the same thing as my earlobe. So again, do the same thing. That's my ear cuff. For my forward helix and my tragus. So those were the lobe. That's the lobe right here. So the way to get the lobe off is you grab the bead part of it and you actually twist it off. So there's the rule, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So do not turn it to the right, turn it to the left to get it loose. So you put your finger in the back to kind of push it forward, and you just twist it to the left to get it loose. Or to the right, to make it tighter. But, that's how that works. And they're gone. So that's how you pull those out, and then you'll see the hole in your ear, and you just pop that back in. I will be 100% honest with you guys. I would never, ever, ever change a forward helix on my own unless if I went into a shop. Because the way the skin folds over with your ear, it is super hard, and with the with your rook right here, that is super hard to try and change because everything's in the way and everything's folding right there. So to try and push it out and then to get it back in, to get the post in this little space and get it through the front way is super duper hard. So I usually just use it to a tattoo shop to change it, and then they just clamp it and then pull my ear out like this a little bit to kind of help get that. And my tragus, you can change yourself. It's not that hard at all. It's just not a very long post, so you just have to be super careful and use your fingers and go like that. So that was ear piercing part 1. We talked about the tragus, the forward helix, and the earlobe. So thank you guys